Once we get the cheering back online, guess who I'm going to spend all my hard-earned dirty esports dollars on? It's going to be the one for sure.
The one for me, Sunny Lion as well, because I really like their
yes.
logo.
I want that logo.
Really good. I mean, imagine running a Sunny Lion logo with Varian with the lion helmet skin.
Tetra, you just made me a little moist on the inside. Please stop. I'm not sure if my body can sustain more.
As Greymane is the first ban, we change the subject as forcefully as possible to head into the draft for game number 1.
Alright, game number 1 is on the way between Beyond the Game and TheOne, two teams that are facing each other on equal footing, on even power levels. Except the maps. There we go.
Because this is a 0% versus 100% win rate currently. So this is going to be interesting for BTG.
Definitely true. Definitely true. So the Greymane is out of the equation. Are we going to see a Banjo, a ban on Hanzo or Genji? Because normally if you ban one of them, the other one is going to pop up immediately, and that is a risk you normally don't want to take. However, if you don't ban any of them, you're definitely going to get a guaranteed Japanese hero for your roster.
So the correct choice here for BTG is to immediately pick up the Genji, because Genji has a bit more of a favorable matchup versus Hanzo than Hanzo has against Genji. Now the question is, will BTG take that bait?
Are they going to take it? Are we going to see it? What would you say is the safer way to start a draft off? With a Genji or with a Hanzo?
With a Genji, because like I said, Genji has a more favorable matchup into Hanzo.
I would agree.
Hanzo is fine, but Genji can Genji excels against heroes like Hanzo, where he can jump into the backline and really punish them.
Wow. They're giving it up.
They could pick both. The one could just pick both right now, and it would be very funny. Or both could be ignored. That has happened before, where both teams actually just play a sort of game of Shimada chicken.
like a silent gentleman's agreement. We're not going to pick any Shimadas in this game, but who's going to, violate the rules first?
Yeah, we know you were going to ban it. You know we were going to ban it. Let's just not. But that is unlikely the case here. Both teams are just trying to play against the other. They both feel they are comfortable maybe playing against them. So let's see how we... Because we already know that Meng plays a crazy good Genji. Yeah,
he's a beast on that hero. Quite true. Now, do you think Curse Hollow is good enough of a map for TheOne to... Well, Gentleman's Agreement was heavily violated here, and Beyond the Game is going to be very upset.
I think it's the first time in China we've seen them on the same team.
Yeah, yeah, very true.
That's very cool.
Very cool to see indeed. So, you mentioned Meng being an absolutely godlike Genji. Who's going to play the Hanzo? I'm not really sure, but that also means...
Well, Meg's on a BTG, right?
No, Meng is for TheOne.
Ah, okay. Yeah. Got my team mixed up.
So, Hugo's hero remains to be picked yet. He's been showing off strong here on the Leoric lately. He's also been very terrifying to Haka and Sonya. So, there's going to be a lot of aggression actually coming in by TheOne, with Genji engages, the Dragon's arrows, potential Hugo engages there as well. Really cool to see.
Yeah, so what are the counters? We already know Sonya is very effective, and Sonya Uther is already a crazy good combo. There is the Sonya, and there is a Nubrak. The two most, I would argue, the two most dive-heavy tanks in the tank/bruisers in the game.
Yeah. Definitely true. Definitely true. So, we have great CC all across the board, and it looks like Beyond the Game really want to lock down the Shimada Bros to as much as they can. With bird charges, impales, Uther hammers, Sonya spears, even a leap maybe potentially if we see some more burst damage follow-up. And I think that's exactly what TheOne wanted to achieve with that Alrek ban. Deny any form of burst damage follow-up and deny even more crowd control.
Now the ETC banned out because they already have a tank and a bruiser of their own. They are in no... the BTG are in no rush to take any more, so they can just ban out one from TheOne. With ETC and Sonya gone, Muradin is quite likely for TheOne, as it's one they have favored a reasonable amount.
Now, what would you say is the best support for the double Shimada? Could it be a Lucio to really enhance their mobility, especially the one of Hanzo?
Full Overwatch team, let's go. But the Lucio could definitely work out, and it's also one of, once again, with Uther and Rhaegar gone, it really jumps up in priority, because those are the ones that work with those very squishy Shimada heroes.
Very true. So it could be a Lucio. It could be... Cleanses are actually no longer accessible that easily without dropping, you know, a little bit down into the lesser popular supports like Brightwing, for example.
Yeah, they go with Karazim. Now, they have played Karazim before, I think. Yeah, I think so. But
I mean, Karazim used to be such a staple in China for a long time until teams have slowly but surely abandoned him in favor of the likes of Uther, Rhaegar, and Lucio, of course. But Karazim does have his own version of Cleanse later on, if needed, with the Cleansing Touch at 16.
And they've got, of course, like you said, have the Sanctification. So they have some options now. Lots of burst protection options here for the one. Beyond the game, they already have their tanks. They have a Bruiser here. So range damage with Greymane already banned out. We're dropping down to potentially Li Ming, which we know is another Meng special.
And I would really like to see Beyond the Game shift away from the Jaina right now, because I always think that Jaina is such a risky pick against a Tyrael who's good in his Sanctifications. So let's see if they're just not really afraid of that, and they think, you know, we have so much CC, we could even interrupt Tyrael against when he's about to cast Sanctification all the time. So could be a Jaina, could be a Li Ming maybe, and then they need a little bit more sustained damage. Wow.
It is Li Ming.
That's
and
good.
Cassia coming in here. Cassia is very strong and has that potential for a Valkyrie, which can be incredible against the Shimadas if they have the lockdown follow-up, which they certainly do.
Yeah, Valkyrie, you nail the head there. You hit the nail on the head there. Provides insane synergy with all that follow-up CC. Cassia could be a real menace, but I also like the Li Ming here. You basically also deny Li Ming from the enemy team, which maybe they could have gone for if they really had relied on a solo tank Tyrael. But she's also so good in those choke points. I mean, she has to be careful by the same token though, Tetra, because just like Jaina, if Tyrael lands that Sanctification on point, you can oftentimes be denied really, really important resets.
So, the one for their final pick.
It's Hugo's pick,
normally, a second tank is going to be a pretty reasonable choice if they were to go for that. Once again, Muradin is definitely one of their highest picks in general, but they stick with a slightly more damagey second tank, the Leoric, which gives them a lot of solo lane potential and something to match up with Sonya.
Yeah, and that is definitely Hugo's pick. He's shown stellar Leoric play in the past already. I can't help but feel that I would have maybe preferred a Dehaka or... I don't know, it's hard to say.
Dehaka, I don't believe the one really picked that much. It seems to be a bit more of a ban hero for them. I will check properly, but I don't think they've played it.
I guess with Leoric, and you mentioned it a couple of days ago when you said that you watched some of the off-stream games and you saw Hugo's Leoric just explode. Yeah. He's got Leoric.
Dehaka, never been picked by the one with this current lineup.
Just doesn't seem to be a comfort pick for them then.
Yeah, whereas Leoric, they picked him twice and he has won both times. 100% win rate.
So the question is, which route is Hugo going to build Leoric this time around? I think it has to be the Ominous Wraith, simply due to the fact that you want to shut down the damage by Cassia and Li Ming for the most part. But is it going to be a March of the Black King game, or are you leaning more towards the Entomb? What would you say?
I think I would react to Sonya. If Sonya picks the leap, then you're kind of want to Entomb to try and force that used as an escape, or force it as a reaction. Whereas if Sonya goes for Wrath of the Berserker, then it makes BTG very frontline heavy. I mean, you're going to get some crazy March value.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. I really tend to agree here. I think it all comes down to how well the early mid game goes. Oftentimes when you're ahead 1-2 levels and you're basically dictating the pace, you want to go Entomb to grow that extension lead even more. But if you're behind, oftentimes the March of the Black King can be the big lifesaver to prevent you falling even further behind.
As we are loading into game number 1 of this best of 3. Interesting. I thought they were actually planning to like burrow into the camp that doesn't spawn until minutes. We have BTG with Druid on Uther, 619 on Anubarak, ZJZ on Sonya, LLK on Li Ming, and Dancing is on the Cassia.
Their opponents looking strong as of late. Can they continue to impress? It is TheOne with Hugo on that Leoric. Lucky plays Hanzo, Meng on the Genji, Zato is on Karazim, and Hihi plays a Tyrael. I think for the first time I've ever seen Hihi on the Tyrael. He's normally an Arthas player. He plays a lot of a Nubarak as well. But it's going to be interesting to see how he's playing the Archangel of Justice. Already shifting away from the chicken build that we saw earlier. Going for the classic Justice for All. Increasing shields to allies and minions nearby.
Yeah, escaping the chicken build isn't that surprising.
Yeah.
It's not very common. And Tyrael has been played once by Hihi. So this is the second time he will have played this hero. And potentially the first time he will ever win with it. Because he's currently played one, lost one.
Could have also been a game off stream, of course, with the compressed and packed schedule that China is currently using. Zato, by the way, dismounting BTG and thus relieving the pressure of the top tower, by the way. It's always cool to see how the increased damage done by structures to enemy heroes is now basically slowing down those early aggression plays. And I gotta say, I really like it because it always felt a little bit odd to me when enemy teams didn't really have to fear the towers in the first place because they were hitting like, you know, little marshmallows. Like they were shooting marshmallows at you.
As we see the mercenary camps beginning to be taken, ZJZ being the currently solo, but it does look like he's going to get some reinforcements. Unneeded reinforcements, I would add. He would be able to solo that on his own, but it looks like speed is the name of the game. Both these teams wanting to grab these camps as soon as possible, as Hugo will get ganked here, but will be able to survive.
Surviving that he does, and let's take a look at Lucky's talent build here, by the way. He's shying away from the same old auto attack build that we've seen on many Hanzo players and going towards a more PvE centered style, which of course caters towards mercenary camps and bosses alike. So if you see that talent going down and it follows up by other talents, other W talents by Hanzo, as an enemy team you need to be on your tippy toes and always scout it out, because in the blink of an eye Hanzo could otherwise take away structures as well, but PvE camps. So let's see which style they're going to go for.
This is the boss murdering build here, being able to hopefully move on to a boss. And I don't know if he can still solo. I know he could on release. So we'll see.
It was always a risky endeavor because it would basically bring you down to 10%, 5% HP, and you really had to be on top with your micro abilities. So I wouldn't recommend it.
So another talent that's worth talking about, we've talked about it before, but I still think it's worth mentioning, the Air Ally coming in from Karazim. Now, normally this is picked to counter stealth heroes, but the reason we see it picked here is because, for starters, vision is always useful. For second, there's both ability power and auto attacks, and a lot of it's a burst, so the healing token's not going to get value. The Earth Ally might get value, but the majority of the reason this is here is because TheOne are all about mobility, and this is the most high mobile ability due to the fact you get 2 charges.
You get 2 charges, it has a relatively low cooldown as well, so you're always going to have that escape ability if needed. Beautifully done by Meng. Breaking no sweats.
Defect versus Fend, Deflect versus Fend, it's one of the most satisfying things.
I mean, the sound effect in general, if you play Genji, is very satisfying if you get a lot of deflects going, and then you have like a, ha-ha, again! Feels good.
Again. As we see the harassment style coming in from TheOne. They've got Leoric still soaking in here, continuing to push it in, as Meng continues to deny. And Leoric does definitely need to leave, as several heroes come down to the middle lane to attempt to finish him off. But Wraithwalk is a good ability. Is it enough, though? It might not. Yeah, it is.
Hugo baiting a lot of plays there, simply by, you know, making sure that BTG had to make people rotate, otherwise they would have lost even more towers in the middle, and that basically allowed TheOne to take back the first tribute, and ZJZ now in a lot of trouble. He falls to the last shuriken by Meng. Well played. This is all green lights for TheOne. They're really coming out swinging here in the first half of the game.
So close to the rescue Beetle, but Nubarak was just short. That, like you said, that last auto attack able to finish the job by Meng here. As the next tribute spawns, this will be on a little bit more BTG favored side. So they are going to be able to try and play a bit more defensive around this.
Yeah, there's 2 ways you can play around such a threatening location for the tribute if you're TheOne. You can A, ignore it altogether and try to take mercenary camps, try to apply pressure in the top lane, for example, which is the longest distance between the tribute. Or you can basically make the quicker rotation and posture up there before BTG gets even close, set up an ambush, and maybe, you know, snowball from there. But it looks like the One are just trying to once again stall it out a little bit. They're actually going for an early boss with Hanzo. Beautifully done. That's all you need. 2 heroes and Hanzo, ideally support. That's definitely enough.
Yeah, especially Karazim, one of the very high damage, especially if he did go for that, for those Iron Fists. More denials here, just so much poke, but guess what? Bit doubted, and they're both low. Anub cannot 1v2, but he can force the leash.
Yeah, the leash is...
Still go for it, though.
No,
oh my god, that's so greedy. Here comes Druid.
This is so crazy now. Both teams are trying to out-mind game each other. And while the boss was cancelled, so was the tribute as well. So currently there's a status quo. None of the teams is actually gaining anything for quite some time now.
They still want it, though. They're still trying for this boss, and they're still
Meng!
Might have got himself killed off. It might have been off all he could do. Deflect! No, can't deflect the poison out of your own body in this case.
Again! No, if you... Yeah, that was so cool. And this basically shows us one thing. Chinese teams, they have worked on one of their, what used to be one of their biggest weaknesses, the map awareness macro play. Like the fact that BTG was aware of the situation with Hanzo, especially with that talent build, was so huge, but also valiant effort by the One trying to stall this one out so long with hyper mobility heroes like Tyrael and Genji to finally sneak in a boss. In the end, didn't work out for them though.
As we see the next tribute spawning down in the bottom lane, Leoric's already in decent positioning for it. But yeah, 619. That zoning able to prevent the boss from happening while his team was still able to take control of the tribute. That's such a huge deal.
Alright, level 10 is here just a smidgen faster for the One than for Beyond the Game. Can they utilize that short time window?
Oh, wow.
This is
I
very
thought
sneaky.
they were going to do that.
No, I thought so too. Oh, they are!
Hanzo knows.
Okay.
What are you going to do about it, though, Hanzo? You're 4v1. Have fun.
Hanzo's poking...
Oh, he forces the leash.
Yeah. Hanzo's poking alone is enough of a threat for Beyond the Game to be like, okay, guys, let's not risk it. We're just going to let them have the tribute. It's not a big deal. It's only the second one out of 3. But if they had more people than Hanzo there, it would have been an unnecessary risk to take.
This is definitely one of the most mind game matchups we have seen between two teams in a long time. And Lucky takes the world's shortest jump and gets taken out. The wall not enough to give him any kind of freedom.
Yeah, Hanzo should have warmed himself up a little bit more. Should have done more stretching, so maybe he could have jumped a little bit farther. But that, of course, is the go-to signal here for Beyond the Game. They kill one, and especially Hanzo, who's the biggest damage source for the One, and they're taking this boss 50%. Is it going to be enough, though?
The big is late. This is 4v4 right now. Here comes the ball lightning. Mountain of Black King getting some value here. He trying to at least force the leash. Here comes
big arrow!
Hanzo, Dragon Arrow getting the good stun. But Hanzo is still a really long way away. Li Ming has arrived, but because of that huge stun and the boss being leashed, BTG are forced to retreat.
Yeah, and this is really bad for Beyond the Game right now because this is a good location on the tribute here for the One, and they took a lot of damage from that long distance poke, and most importantly, that huge dragon arrow coming in from Hanzo. From downtown, basically. But can they defend this tribute? It's all in or nothing. If they don't take this one, they're gonna get cursed.
This one boss has had more contention than most Tree Glove protectors do, as we see ZJZ trying to channel. Good dodge by Meng this time, able to keep the poke damage. Leoric denies the turn, and Lucky in a nice poke position. He can jump over the wall as well if anyone tries to prevent him from doing this.
Lucky throwing out those storm arrows, doing a good job delaying, and here comes Genji, here comes Tyrael. They're basically all over the place. The One that is, they're shuffling out and scattering into many different locations, but LLK and Li Ming, he's trying to basically fight fire with fire and answer Hanzo's poke with Li Ming's poke.
Mercenary camp will finally get taken down. Is anyone here to deny this time? Lucky is able to flee, and the tribute is being denied. Can anyone get there?
Another Q.
Tyrael, last chance. He didn't get it. The body block by Druid prevented the sword coming down in time.
Yeah, he not even using the Angelic Flash to get back to the Eldrain, which is actually costing him his life here. He's gonna get a little bit of trade value, but now it is the One on the retreat.
Leoric being a good distraction, preventing anyone going in. Is this boss going to be attacked again?
No way.
They have decided the boss, maybe not this time, because the fact is, what they can do now is if they just completely ignore top boss, they can go down to bottom boss. And by the time they have mostly finished bottom boss, especially if they stagger it a little, which would be risky, but it's a possibility, especially if they did Bruiser Camp first, which is what it looks like they're going to do, they could do boss and also get the curse.
Look at how fast Hanzo is clearing those PvE targets. He needs to be careful, though. Beyond the Game, they smelled the pie, and they're charging in.
It's 3v3. The boss still not leashed.
Root.
Uther gets rooted. They move in. They need to get onto the point. Beautiful blind by Cassia.
That's it.
And it looks like the One will finally claim their own boss.
And it couldn't have been a better timing for the One, because the tribute is going to spawn in 3 seconds from now on the exact opposite side of the map as well, so the boss is going to get even more distraction value.
Meng trying to get in for the denial on that curse.
No way, no way.
Can't do it. The curse happened, so it's curse versus boss. As ZJZ taking a huge amount of damage, but it gets dropped into the cocoon, so the Dragon Arrow is cancelled here. Nice activation, allowing the One to keep this fight going. Dragon Arrow lands on Li Ming, so they keep pushing forward as Meg kills off Uther. Takes the shots though, 'cause remember the curse is on the other side.
Palm.
Beautiful palm onto Tyrael as they begin to turn it round. A huge explosion, and
Wow.
619 chased down by Zano, who is able to barely retreat past Li Ming.
Genji definitely had a guardian angel in that fight. I'm not even talking about Tyrael here, because the Sank was good, but boy oh boy was that close for Meng. If only one member of the One dies here, Li Ming is going to get a reset, and this teamfight could have gone a lot differently. But kudos to the One. They played this very, very cool, very collected, but now they're going to have to defend the Crystal World. Tetra, we're going to take another look at that teamfight.
It was so good. You can see the Ball Lightning trying desperately to follow the so much mobility they have. The Dragon Blade was gone in the cocoon, so that was a really nice play by a noob. But you can see here, that palm changed everything, and Meng so close to dying in the fend. But because of that, because Tyrael lived, it was that extra bit of hit point pull, that extra bit of tankiness that allowed them to turn it around and finish off the a few more members of BTG.
Also, kudos to the One, because they didn't really overlap the Sanctification and the Palm, which is sometimes, you know, a miscommunication issue that we could see happen. The same goes with shields and Palm. So basically anything that prevents the target from dying. So kudos to them. Yeah. Also, really nice adjustment here coming in by BTG, though. They're now trying to posture up, maybe catching somebody isolatedly. That's exactly what they need to do.
Stun Chain attempting to come down to Hihi, but he's just too tanky. He's able to teleport and Holy Ground himself away from the enemy team.
Ooh, man, and you bring up a good point, Tetra. Holy Ground is going to be such a power spike, as if the One even needed more power spikes. They're already ahead almost 2 levels here, and Tyrael is already performing well. Now with the Holy Ground, they have even more lockdown and zoning potential.
BTZ and the rest of BTG gonna take down this bottom fort, give themselves a little bit more XP. The fact is, their top fort actually survived the boss.
Yeah.
So they were able to take down. They now have a 1 fort advantage here now that they've taken down that bot one.
Arzim going for Spell Shield at 13. If he times that very well, then he can absorb a lot of the damage coming in by Li Ming, potentially even preventing a reset there as well. Pro players will normally never leave it activated by default. They're always going to turn it off, and then in the blink of an eye, when things get really dire for them, they're going to activate it.
Yeah, block a good Arcane Orb, maybe a little bit of the Ball Lightning, a Spear. Poison Spear block is always a satisfying one.
Very true. And so far, Lucky seems to be doing really well in those teamfights, despite the fact that he doesn't have the infamous minus armor from the level 7 talent, because he went full W.
He did, in fact, go full W, and went for a... Didn't go for the percentage damage on his auto attacks for his level 16 either.
No, I think he went for the Piercing Stormbow, which basically causes the Q to hit several targets in a line if the enemies actually stand up in a line.
Yeah, and Scatter Arrow, because it affects that as well.
Yeah, Scatter as well, yes.
So yes, lots of piercing, which makes a lot of sense considering the rest of his build.
Alright, 16 is here, and this could be the curse for the One. So there's 2 ways for Beyond the Game to play this. A, ignore it. Soak a little bit in the middle, maybe soak a little bit in the bottom lane, but take care of the boss not to be taken. Or try to be there a little bit quicker, try to set up a trap, and try to surprise someone with a cocoon maybe. Look at that beautiful location. This is basically walled off right now. Another Q by Tyrael, and it would have been an unpassable terrain. And this is very scary now for Beyond the Game. Very scary.
The Holy Ground is in play. The option is available. Sank is up. This is always going to be a risk. A crazy risk.
Yes.
But they're trying it anyway. Stun on Tyrael. If you keep him CC'd, you can try and fight over the point.
The cocoon!
They're managing to hold the point. Druid is on it, preventing it from channeling. It's a huge fight to disintegrate. Gets so much value. But the shield and the Sank holding everything together as Meg picks up the first and second kills with the crazy Dragon Blade. And resets galore. King Meng of the One moves in and gets all the kills and the key.
Slicing and dicing his way to victory there. Meng, that is, what a guy, going in and out and in and out again. This was just so well played, but it was also baited by TheOne. I'm not even sure if you want to take that fight if you're beyond the game against Sanctification, against Holy Ground. The cocoon was nice, but it wasn't enough to really prevent TheOne from stepping on the platform there. And with that onslaught going all the way to BTG's core, it is GG. Double Shimada reigning supreme here on Curse Hollow.
Absolute decimation. That looked okay for a little bit. The Disintegrate was one of the best I've ever seen, getting so much